that is everything that we're doing, and we spend so much time together in each other's pockets. Like, we live together, we work together, we train together, and the arguments, when we row, it goes up. Like, so yeah, I guess that made my qualification maybe seem more stressful than it was. But we both got through it, we got there. And it was obviously all worth it in the end, because we got matching medals.
Which was incredible.
Yeah. And I was worried he was going to quit at one point. I was like, don't you dare.
Did he come close?
Yeah. We genuinely had the conversation, and he was like, no, I'm done. And I'm like, you can't be done, because if you watch the Commonwealth Games in 2 years' time, and the weights are weights that you were capable of doing comfortably, then you'll kick yourself, you'll never forgive yourself. So you've got to give yourself that opportunity. And, the weights that he lifted were suboptimal for him in terms of his previous year's performance before injury. But, it was to be on the journey that he went on, and to get back to those sorts of weights within that time frame, after everything he'd been through, with like kidneys and blood pressure, whatever else went on, like not even just the arm injury, like the fact that his body just like shut down on him as well.
He was just saying, I was just pissing blood, but and he just said that like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And I imagine it wasn't nothing for you.
No.
Was that the time around that conversation of Jack saying I'm done? Was that the hardest part of your lifting career, or was it elsewhere?
That's definitely up there. I mean, we didn't talk about actually, when I was for Glasgow, I was actually mentally not in a great place myself, 2014, and I hadn't acknowledged it, that I was probably battling depression quite hard at the time. So I guess for me, it was when Jack was going through everything it was a reflection for me on what I went through, to try and support him at the best way possible to get through that himself. It was definitely up there, one of the hardest parts, because it wasn't clear cut that I was going. If I'd had an easy ride on qualification like I did for Glasgow, then that would have made it a much easier process to support Jack through. But because my qualification process wasn't simple either, it was kind of, two really tough things at the same time, make it even more difficult. But then by the same account, you're then going through two challenges together and supporting each other through it, slightly different reasons, but also the same at the same time. It was definitely up there, one of the toughest.
Something that I saw on your Instagram was mentioning about Mental Health Awareness Week.
Yeah.
And at the time, I just thought it was because it was that week and it's an important subject and everything, and it's fantastic that awareness is being brought to everyone's attention.
Yeah.
But now it's clear that the tone of that post was a lot more personal.
Yeah, for sure. And that was a big deal for me to acknowledge that. I'm going to try and not get emotional.
It's okay.
I can do this. That was a big deal for me.
This will be the first time someone's cried. Jack didn't cry.
I don't think Jack has tear ducts.
You'll make me cry, that's right.
Don't. So that was... for me that was... for me that was a big deal to kind of reach out about that. And, Jack went through it with me, but that was kind of it. I kind of shut it down any further than that. I didn't speak to my parents, I didn't speak to my siblings, I just shut off. And I think because my parents maybe still have quite a closed view on mental health, not through any fault of their own, but that's just kind of the way they look at it. So
this will be amazing for anyone that's going through this now.
Okay.
Stop the camera.
No, I can do this.
Okay.
So that was kind of, like you said, for other people to go through it, because people think you're doing elite sport, you must live this like best life, and that you're enjoying everything, you get to go to these competitions and this and that and the other. But realistically, there's a lot more to it than that, and it's tough. And at the time, financially, I wasn't in a great place. So that was a big deal for me. Jack was a gem. Most people would have left, I think.
He's not going anywhere, I don't think. Show off your ring.
Yeah, so around Glasgow time, and it was just, I graduated, I couldn't find a teaching job. I was doing supply and stuff like that, but yeah, and I think that probably had part of the effect on my performance for the games. And I remember, nice, I'm good. I remember being in the village and thinking, I should be enjoying this experience of the Commonwealth Games and just not. Which is what made this one even more special, because I was in such a better place, and the medal and everything to go with it. Like, the games was just phenomenal, and all of the team performed really well. We didn't have anyone who was unhappy with their performance. Everyone went out there and did the best they could. I think nearly everyone on the team got PBs. We nearly had everyone finish in the top 6. We had the biggest medal haul since Manchester. Like, this game was just phenomenal, and for me to be in such a better place and to watch, like, I was a wreck watching Jack lift, like, a horrendous wreck.
Did he lift first as well?
Yeah, he was the day before me, so, I mean, if it was anybody else, I wouldn't have been in that arena watching, but obviously for Jack it's different. So he was the morning before I lifted, like the morning before. Oh, I was horrendous. I had Ben at the side, one of his best mates. Gaz next to him, so Gaz had just won gold the day before that, and they were both there when Jack missed out by a kilo in Glasgow, and I remember I sat there and he'd done his clean and jerk, and I was like, it's going to happen again, the other guy's still got to come out, and he's going to miss out again, and they were like, stop being an idiot. And I was like, when is it going to happen? So yeah, there was just so many different emotions at this game that it was phenomenal. I planned on retiring after that, as in after Tokyo, and that being my last Commonwealth Games, but there's another Commonwealth Games coming back to England, so I guess I've got to keep going for that.
Well, that sounds amazing. So you were the day after Jack.
Yeah.
And then, so after the snatch, you put yourself in a good place. I've seen the Instagram post where you've got this little smirk, where you set it up and everything.
Yeah, so for me, I was, 5th or 6th after snatch, because there was 2 girls on 100, and then a bunch was on 95, and the way the rules work is whoever does the lift first, they're the highest ranked. It used to be on body weight, it used to be lightest body weight, but then they changed all the rules and everything else. Mm-hmm. So I was like 5th or 6th after snatch, and I think Jack said he was sat next to our like media representative for weightlifting, and she was like, oh, like, how are you feeling or whatever. He was like, she's done and she's got a medal. And the woman's like, she's down in 6th.
Oh, I can imagine like, just being fine.
Yeah, so kind of 6th after snatch, and then, I am a clean and jerk, like, that's my lift. The World Championships, I was 15th after snatch and managed to pull it back to 6th. And I had a medal shot as well at the time for a bronze medal. So yeah, clean and jerk is definitely my favourite lift. And I got a PB on my second attempt with 122 to then put 6 kilos on for the gold medal. And I gave it a bloody good go. Just wasn't, it was a 7 kilo PB essentially. Like, it was a pretty ballsy lift, and it wasn't far off. And I think maybe subconsciously it was a little bit out in front, like the one at the European under 23s, and I think there was a subconscious part of my brain was like, no. And it's one thing doing that with 113, but doing it with 128, like, that would have been a much worse injury if I had kept hold of it.
Absolutely.
And I spoke to someone recently actually at the British. She said she watched it and she was like, please don't do that lift again where you break yourself. So she said, she was like, I think I was the only person that was glad you dropped that weight, and I was like, yeah, probably. But sets me in good stead for Birmingham. And we'll see, because we've got new weight classes, so maybe they'll change the qualification for that again.
Yeah. But then you got the silver medal, and what did it feel like when you were on that podium? Was that the highlight of your lifting career? Yeah, so far for sure. It was kind of bittersweet, I think, because I was so close to that gold medal that at the time, if someone had told me the day before you're going home with a matching medal to Jack, I'd have been like, sweet. Because I went into the competition knowing I was a medalist pretty much, but expecting bronze with a shot at silver, and then the Fijian girl just didn't perform. So to be
a dead cert silver with a shot of gold like that. The reflection on that, having only been in that weight class for 12 weeks, was pretty, that was pretty cool. And I think it wasn't until I took that time to reflect on that I do see it as a highlight of my career. Whereas at the time, I was like,
I went gold.
yeah.
Okay.
But you're so overcome with emotion and stuff in that moment as well that it's quite surreal. My parents came out to watch, which was quite cool. So
I'm gonna make you emotional again.
yeah, I know.
But it's very clear that you and Jack balance each other out. Like
yeah.
you have the emotional side, which Jack will need, and then Jack has that kind of level-headed deadpanness that can bring you down as well.
Yeah,
which is why you
in
work
training,
so well together.
Yeah, and in training that kind of causes a little bit of friction sometimes because I get frustrated and I get upset because I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
And then Jack's like, "Why are you crying?" And I'm like, "Because I can't do it." Whereas, like you said, he is much more level-headed and to the point. So yeah, I guess we do balance each other out from that point of view. Yeah, I think looking back on it, I'm much happier with maybe I was when I stood on that podium, because I was so close now. It's like,
hindsight lets you put it all in perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Whereas at the time it was, but I had the last weight on the bar of the competition, which is quite cool.
Other than gold. So just because we're starting to run out of time and we've realised now that we need to do another 17 parts of this interview, just talk to me a little bit about Wisdom for Weightlifting, what you guys do, where people can find you, what the future holds for that, and then no doubt we'll get some more interviews booked in.
Yeah, so Jack set up Wisdom for Weightlifting in 2014 because the men lost their funding. He says I stole his funding because I then got funded. So the men lost their funding, so he set it up so that he could still train fairly full time and coach around it. And it started off just as kind of PT stuff with a few workshops, and now most of our work is completely online, which is cool because it means we coach people from all over the world. So I've had clients in New Zealand, Singapore. I currently coach 3 of the Swiss national team, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do a lot of online personalised programming at very different levels with video feedback, and we also just set up our online subscription programs, which are £20 a month. You've got 12 programs to choose from with different focuses, so 3 days, 4 days, strength focus, technical focus.
And where can they find you? Either on Instagram or website?
So yeah, Instagram for the Wisdom for Weightlifting and for my personal one. Wisdomforweightlifting.com is where you'll find all the information about programs and all that sort of stuff, and emails and stuff on there as well, so they can just drop us a line and
then
find us.
One of the last things that I want to go through, this was just going to be one, but we're going to go with 2. We'll go with 1 or 2 sentences for this one. Anyone out there that's struggling with mental health, maybe struggling to talk about it or anything like that, even if they're high level athletes or they're not even athletes themselves yet, what would you say to those guys? What would you ask them to do? 2 sentences.
I think the biggest thing for me was going to see a professional to acknowledge it, because I refused to acknowledge it until that point, and you're not going to get better unless you acknowledge it and get the help.
Yeah.
And the second one is, it's hard, but reach out and find that support, because people have been there, they've done it, and they've learned from it. Yeah.
And then any women out there, or anyone that wants to start lifting weights but they're too nervous to maybe start and too nervous to get going, what would you say to those guys?
Embrace it. If you have that interest to do it, find yourself a good coach or a PT who is going to support you and kind of help you get over those nerves. So I think the biggest thing is people are scared of doing it wrong, and then people then judging them. So spend the money to get a coach, even if you only see them for 4 or 5 sessions, to build you that base, and then you can go off and do your own thing and rock it and grow the booty.
Grow the booty. And on that note, I think we'll leave it there. So Sarah, thank you very much. That was an absolutely amazing interview. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely loved that.